Hello, my name is Lavion and welcome to my video. So for this video, I will be talking about how you can find your art style and how I came to find my own art style. So before I go into that, I wanted to talk a bit more about the piece that I'm drawing here. So this piece is a summer themed drawing for the summer before it ends, and it features my OC Vino in the bikini. And I wanted to do a summer drawing before the summer ended, and I was inspired by an old piece I did back in 2021, which was kind of similar to this one, in which it was a summer themed painting, and it was my OC Vino in a bikini like this one. And I just wanted to see how much I improved since then, because I haven't done like a summer painting since then. So I just wanted to see the kind of difference between how my art and my OC looked back then versus now, and how much my style changed since, this video is about art styles. And I think, let me see if I can show the old painting up here versus the new painting. I think there's a lot of improvement in the shading. I think my colors now are a lot warmer than they were then, and I think I have a better understanding of lighting, I hope. I don't know, but my colors are definitely a lot more vibrant. And the main thing is that my painting now, even though it's just a half body, it took not even 4 hours, while my old painting took nearly 9 hours. So I definitely draw a lot faster now. And, I think I'm happy with the improvement over the years. So now I want to talk about how I came about finding my own art style first. So I started drawing when I was really young. I can't remember when, but I think it was around the time I first started learning how to write. And the main reason why I started drawing was because of My Little Pony. I was a huge My Little Pony fan as a kid. And in horses in general, I think I would have been considered a horse girl because I had a ton of horse posters and figurines and My Little Pony toys. And ponies were the first thing that I drew, basically. And which is kind of funny because now I draw like furries and humans, but I started off drawing ponies. And how I got into it, I just copied the screen caps, or like screenshots from the show, just copied directly from them. So everything that I drew as a kid was just exact copies of what I saw. I didn't have any distinct style or anything, just drew what I saw, and that was it. So when I first got my first iPad, I think when I was around 10 years old, I downloaded an app called Drawcast, and this kind of introduced me to other artists, a ton of other artists, especially digital art, and also other art styles. Before, I had no idea what any of that was. I was just drawing what I saw. I didn't know anyone else that really drew compared to me. But when I went on that app for the first time, I was introduced to the internet. Basically, I learned and saw so many different art styles, and that kind of inspired me to start creating artwork of my own, like not just copying what I see. So I still continue to do pony art. When I started digital art, I just had seen other pony art styles and drew inspiration from there, and was able to develop my own art style. And after doing pony art, I started seeing human artists, specifically anime artists, and got into anime, and that kind of inspired me to start doing anime art. I mainly drew like inspiration from anime directly, but then saw actual anime artists and then drew information from there. Some artists, notable artists that I was inspired by for anime art was Hiana Natsu, if I remember, and then another one called Neko Rina. I don't know if that's correct. I'm just saying these from memory, but those are two very big inspirations that I had while getting into anime art, and I used to watch their speed paints religiously and would just copy what they did until I eventually just kind of started figuring out my own interests, my like parts of art that I really liked, and kind of just develop and create my own style from that. Of course, drawing inspiration from others first, because I think that was the only way I would have been able to develop an art style. If I didn't discover the internet or whatever, I probably would still be copying like pictures or art from shows instead of drawing my own stuff now. So having an inspiration is definitely a huge part of what created my art style. So after doing a bit of copying and then also being inspired by other artists, I started like looking more into what I actually liked drawing and like this type of subjects that I enjoy drawing, because I was kind of all over the place. I went from drawing ponies to humans to furries and then just kind of around and around. So I wanted to figure out what I wanted to specialize in first. So I primarily drew humans and kind of got into a little bit of drawing furries. And as I was drawing humans, I was trying to see like, what do I like the most about drawing humans? And it was definitely, I think, the eyes and the lips for me. When it comes to the face, those were my favorite parts of drawing. So I think before I just directly drew inspiration from anime art and they didn't really draw lips. But as I discovered more artists who did draw lips, I was like, oh, I want to incorporate that in my art. So I started doing that and started like refining those parts of my art style to be more, I guess, me. And so that kind of what built up to my current art style. I think those are like the biggest and most noticeable features, I hope, of my style, at least from what I think. I'm not entirely sure. I think people might think differently, but that's basically how I came to develop my own art style. I went from copying pictures and from shows to discovering new artists, drawing inspiration from the artists, and then figuring out what subjects and what features that I like drawing the most, and really experimented around those to now develop and create what is my art style now. So going into my tips and advice on how to find your own art style, my first tip would to be to first of all, don't think that finding an art style is the most important part of drawing or to art. While it may seem tempting to want to find your art style first before doing anything else, because you see all these other artists with their art styles with distinct styles that make them unique and make them stand out, I think it is very important to develop the fundamentals before getting into that. When you try to find your art style first, before understanding before understanding anatomy or like color theory or whatever, it'll be very hard to stylize your art if you don't understand what you're drawing. A lot of the times, the way artists find their art style is by understanding the fundamentals first and then being able to stylize those fundamentals into a way that they like it. If you do it the other way around, it just doesn't really work, and it can be a lot harder for you to draw from your own mind and everything if you do it that way. Being able to stylize your art is a skill. It really is a skill. So I think before anything, you should understand the fundamentals, the important parts, the bits and pieces, and the building blocks of art before trying to get into doing your own art style, trying to stylize everything. My second tip would be to draw inspiration from several sources, from several different, not just one. I think a problem a lot of beginner artists have is just having one artist in mind that they want to draw inspiration from and using just that artist's art as their main source of inspiration as reference for their own art. And this isn't really a good idea because a lot of the times, from what I've seen in the past, these beginner artists who I guess draw inspiration or copy from these artists, they get noticed and they get called out, and it's like, don't copy the artists. And it's really noticeable when you're just drawing inspiration from one artist. So my recommendation is to have several artists that you're inspired from, and from each artist I would recommend pinpointing what parts of their art that you really like and want to draw inspiration from, and what you want to incorporate into your own style. So say artist number 1, you really like how they draw eyes. Artist number 2, you really like how they draw the bodies. And artist number 3, you really like how they shade. So you can take aspects from each of those artists that you like and try and combine them into something that you would like. So definitely don't just stick to one artist. It can be, a lot of artists don't want people copying or tracing from their art style, or just don't like people copying their art style in general. So I would definitely avoid that, just to protect yourself and to protect that artist. So my third tip kind of goes with what I was speaking about. So I recommend doing art studies. So once you figure out what artists you want to study or you want to draw inspiration from, I would recommend taking pieces from that artist and kind of building a mood board from the pieces. So like putting their artwork on like a canvas or something, and then drawing on top of the artwork. So maybe like circling which points you really like about their art, taking notes, and then maybe trying to redraw from them, I would say. And doing that for each artist that you're studying is a really great way of actually like really learning and figuring out what that artist is doing and having a better understanding of their style and how they're stylizing the fundamentals. You have that figured out. So I think doing art studies is a really great way. I used to do this for artists that I was really interested in. So I would look at the artwork, take notes on the pieces, and then try and redraw that from memory. First, tracing from them, which is not bad if you're doing it for educational purpose. Just don't claim it as your own, or don't repost it. Heads up. So I would trace from the pieces and then try and redraw it from memory when studying the technique. So that is a great way of trying to figure out how you want to incorporate their art styles into your own, and having a better understanding of how to draw that art style. So my next tip is to experiment. And this isn't just for different artists or art styles that you're drawing inspiration from, but from what you're drawing. So like subjects or the type of artwork that you're doing, etc. I think this is a great way to help you find the type of style that you're looking for, but also just to improve your art in general. I think a lot of artists like to stick to one style and just keep doing that style for as long as they can. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're a growing artist or just feel like your art is reaching a stagnant, experimenting is a great way to get out of this. So as for how to experiment, of course, taking inspiration from different artists is one thing, but also changing up what you're drawing. So let's say all you draw is like pretty anime girls all the time from a 3/4 point of view. I think changing that up is a great way of helping you figure out what you like to draw and what style you're going for. So maybe try drawing a guy for once, or a different perspective, or maybe like having a draw background or something. I don't know, like switching it up any way you want. It's just a great way of figuring out the style you want to do, because it's not just about how, I guess, like how you draw the character, but also what subjects you're drawing, and other things such as like line weight, colors, whether you draw a background or not. I don't know. There's a lot of things that go into art styles, and trying to experiment all sorts and different aspects of your art is a great way of figuring out what you want to do and what style you're going for, because there's so much that goes into it. You can't just like change one thing and that's it. That's how you develop an art style. There's a lot of things that you have to consider when you're figuring out what kind of art style you want to do. So my next tip is to not be afraid to make bad art, I would say. I know like a lot of artists are perfectionists and want to draw the perfect piece like every single time, but in reality that's kind of difficult and impossible. So I think first of all is getting out of that perfectionist mindset and just drawing, just going for it. You know, you don't have to have something in mind. Oh my god, sorry. When you pull out the sketchbook, sometimes you just have to draw and just let it all out. And you're saying like, what does it have to do with art styles? Well, if you're just drawing what comes naturally to you, this can also help with seeing how you already draw, or like what things look like when you're not drawing for references or from inspiration. You can kind of you can get an idea of what you naturally do or what you feel imposed to draw when you're not having a bunch of images, artwork right in front of you. You know, if you get what I mean. I don't know. I just think it's a good idea to just not worry about how your drawing looks sometimes and just go for it. I would have the problem of wanting everything I draw to look perfectly, and it kind of hindered my progress because I had like a certain image in my head that I wanted the art to look, the style to look, and it just kind of stopped me from growing as an artist when I just try and make everything look a certain way. So definitely don't be afraid to just let it out, just draw. Don't worry about how it looks or what people think of it. Just, you know, have fun, I guess. Have fun, you know. Art styles, I know like having an art style can seem like a big deal to a lot of beginner artists, but it really isn't. I know like you want that picture perfect Instagram feed that looks consistent and nice, but it's not. I don't think it's the most important thing, and you definitely shouldn't think it is, in my opinion. So I think my biggest advice for beginner artists trying to find their art style is to not be so uptight about it, I guess. I don't know if that's the right wording, but to not worry about it so much and just focus on doing what you like. Because the main thing for how to find the art style is finding what you like to draw most, what you're best at, what you prefer. It's all about preferences when it comes to your art style because it's yours. Also, don't be afraid to ask for help. Alright, there's nothing wrong with using references or asking for help when it comes to like trying to improve your art or trying to find what you like the best. Sometimes you need like a fresh set of eyes to look at your art and to give you advice, because if you keep looking at things from your own perspective, it can be hard to change or to improve. So I do recommend like asking your friends for any help or anything, or looking at advice online like this video. There's nothing wrong with it. You know, a lot of people are like, artists shouldn't use references. Please use references. Please. I think that's about all that tips and advice I have for finding your art style. I know it's not really anything special or anything outstanding. It's probably stuff you've already heard from other videos or from people, but thought I would just give my 2 cents about it while I'm still here talking. So if it does help, I hope you have a great journey on finding your art style. Don't think too hard on it, you know, have fun, most importantly. And yeah, so to summarize my tips, it was basically number 1, learning the fundamentals first. 2, having several inspirations instead of just one. Number 3, I think it was doing studies of the art styles. Number 4, I don't even remember my tips. What? Okay, yeah, I think I'm just rambling right now. I'm just saying things that I don't even remember what I'm saying. So, if this helps you or not, thank you for watching. I think I'm just gonna hop off and just turn up the music and let you enjoy the speed paint. Yeah, because I don't know what I'm saying. Why am I even doing voiceovers? I feel like at the end of every voiceover, I'm just questioning my life and what I'm doing. And it's probably not a good thing to do if I'm gonna continue doing these voiceovers. So I'm just gonna head out. Bye. Thank you for listening if you have reached this point.
せて